Hello, hello, hello. This is Kay at ComicsVerse at New York Comic Con 2015. I'm here with the wonderful Erica Schultz. Erica, nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. My first question is, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you started off as an art director in an ad agency.
Yes.
And how did you make that transition from that to comics?
I was an art director in an ad agency for about 8.5 years here in New York. And the economy got, crappy, and I ended up getting laid off. So I started working as a Photoshop artist at a studio in New York City, and they were working on the Astonishing X-Men motion comic, Gifted, the first six issues. And through that, I'd always read comics and loved comics, but through that I started working in comics, and then I decided, well, I'm going to start writing my own comics. I have a lot of stories that I've written throughout the years. Everybody's got their closet full of notebooks and, stories that really never went anywhere. So I basically went in and I looked at some stories that I had and saw, okay, well, this wouldn't work for a novel or for a screenplay, but maybe it would work in the comics medium. And then I started reformatting the story for the comics medium, and it seemed to work. And that was M3 was what we started out with.
Yeah, actually, to go off of that, with M3, that is something that you co-created with your artist. And I'm wondering, I've asked several people this, writers and artists alike, how do you feel about something that's creator-owned and because you're also an editor, so you edit other people's stories as well. But do you feel more strongly about stories that kind of belong to you versus other people's, or is it kind of impartial?
I'm kind of impartial. I enjoy editing other people's stories because I like seeing the other voices that are out there. I enjoy working on creator-owned work, but I also do like working on licensed work as well. Licensed work is an interesting challenge because you are telling stories, original stories with characters that someone else created. So you want to make sure you have the same voice. You want to make sure that your story is original, but that somebody's going to pick this up and say, oh, I can see that this creator could have written this story. So you're sort of paying homage to that. But I love creator-owned work. The good thing about creator-owned work is that, you can pretty much do anything you want. The bad thing is that sometimes if you don't have a good editor for creator-owned work, you can sort of take it in another direction and go a little crazy with it, and a good editor will sort of bring you back in. But, I'm pretty impartial when it comes to stuff. But like I said, I like editing other people's stuff. I like seeing what other people bring to the table because it's, the whole thing is about getting more voices into the community. That's really nice because I never thought of editing that way, but do you think that to be a really good editor, in your opinion, do you think it requires a certain level of adaptability or empathy because you're considering other people's voices and wanting them to be heard and wanting to enhance them? I think so. I was talking to an artist friend of mine, and he said that a good editor is a curator of talent. Is someone who sees the raw talent that a creator has, whether it's a writer or an artist, sees the raw talent and says, okay, you're at this level. I'm going to push you just enough so you can take it up to a little bit. I know you got more in you. Yeah. And that's what a good editor does. And also, if someone gets a little manic, because, creatives, we can be a little crazy sometimes. Right. And we also get very close to the work that we sometimes can't see beyond that. It's like, well, this is my vision. Right. And sometimes they can't see that, with a little tweak, it'll make it better. So a good editor will say, no, look, I see where you're going and this is good, but if you just take it in this direction, it's going to be so much better. Empathy definitely comes into play with that. Understanding the creative vision and just letting the creators know, I'm here to make it the best that it actually can be. A lot of people look at comics and they think writer, artist, and that's it. It is a huge collaborative process. Colorists, inkers, editors, letterers, everything. They all sort of bring something to the table. So it's not just two people doing the book. Right. And even M3 that Vicente and I did on our own, my husband was reading it and giving in story ideas. Vicente was giving it to friends to look at and to read and giving, so it is a collaborative process. If two people are doing it on their own, I think it's limiting. You need to bring other people in. Because like I said, you get so close to it that you can't see beyond that, It's like, this is my vision and this is the only way it's going to go. It's like, no.
And it's really easy to make it like kind of a selfish exercise at that point. Exactly. Yeah. That's actually interesting because, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I read an interview with you talking about your influences, and you actually talked about a lot of creators who are peers of yours, like Kelly Sue DeConnick, and I believe Astonishing X-Men, right?
Astonishing X-Men was John Cassaday and Sweden.
Yes, and I'm not. There might have been another one. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm not going to mention the name. But it's interesting because that, to me, on a personal level, was really interesting that you seem very open to, like, that community of creators among just in comics, because, you know, other people are, like what you said, are kind of just like writer, illustrator, that's it. Like, I don't want to deal with anything more than that. And why do you think it's really important for it to be like just like a generally very positive community and collaborative experience in comics?
The whole purpose for comics, and whether it's movies, comics, whatever, it's to tell an entertaining story. You're writing an entertaining story, you're presenting an entertaining story, or you hope that it's entertaining. And that's not done in a bubble. You know, you have to bring other people in. And to be able to say, this is what I do, and to be able to say, I want to tell you a story. You want to be able to see all these different perspectives, and you also want to tell authentic stories. Yes, it's fiction, but you want somebody to be able to look at this and say, I can see how this could really happen. Mm-hmm. And so if you're writing a character that is not you, like if I were writing an Asian character, I would want to speak to all my friends who are Asian and to make sure that I'm representing those people properly. Right. You know, so you want to be authentic. Mm-hmm. I think comics are blowing up. There's so many new voices coming out, and I think it's great because look, if you look at independent film, how independent film has blown up, and you're seeing all these new voices in independent film. It's the same thing with comics. It's basically just opening up the world to different stories, entertaining stories, even whether they're documentaries or they're fiction or whatever, just opening people up to different views. And I think once your eyes are opened to all these different views, it gives you a more personal worldview of things. Right. And I think that once everybody starts seeing things from other people's perspectives, I think people might chill down just like a little bit. Let's hope so. Yeah. I mean, that's like, that's kind of the whole point is to see things from other people's perspectives and say, you know what, I didn't think about it that way. Okay, let me take a step back. I think people are so quick to jump on things as opposed to taking a step back, assessing the situation and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to react to it. Everybody's like so quick. It's like, Twitter, something happens, you got to jump on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. So I think, seeing other people's points of views will hopefully slow everybody down just a little bit to be able to like make an educated and informed informed to be statement. More thoughtful. Exactly. Okay. So, final question. On Jeopardy. Final question. Sorry, I don't mean to like. Okay. Final question is in regards to something that I read on your website, and it said that you occasionally dabble in animation. Yep. And to me, I've tried animation, and I liked it initially because it was an isolating experience for me when I had to do everything. But, I mean, there must be a reason why I didn't stick with it. And I guess just going off of what you were saying about how you want comics to affect the world and slow people down a little bit so people are more thoughtful, do you think animation will do that too? And how do you feel about it? I think animation could do that. I think that we were talking about independent film, different new animations and things like that, telling different stories. I know, manga and Japanese animation has really just like blown up here, and it's opened people up to different stories and different types of storytelling. Yeah. So I think animation is another great medium for this. I was brought in for animation because when I was working on Astonishing X-Men, we needed more animators. So I'm not a traditionally trained animator. Yeah. I was trained for when we were working on Astonishing X-Men. And then I've done some animation beyond that. But that's basically what I was trained for. Yeah. I would love to take like a traditional animation course just to get more of a background in it. I think any way of getting a story out there, and like we were saying, manga's really huge over here. Anime and everything is just bringing new storytelling, new perspectives, and just sort of opening up everybody to different ideas, which I think is great.
All right, well, that was very inspired. Thank you. Well, yeah, of course. No, thank you. And also, is there anything you want to tell your fans and the internet?
What do I want to tell the internet?
Maybe not the name of your nail polish. They can look at your Twitter for that.
It's really cool, though. It's so sparkly. It's like candy apple.
That's not what we discussed, but yes.
I'm PGing it.
Yeah, good.
I know. Just be willing to. I mean, there's a lot of great creators. If you come to a convention, go to Artist Alley, look at people and look at creators that you might have never heard of again, and just take a chance. Plunk your $5 down and buy a book that you've never heard of, because for all you know, that no-name person is going to become your new favorite creator. So be willing to open yourself up to new perspectives, new stories, and just, be open about it. Don't be so myopic and just say, I'm only going to read this. Okay, fine. You only want to read that, fine. But don't cut yourself off from other stories. Right. So.
Okay, well, you heard her. That's all I got for you today. This is Kay at ComicsVerse at New York Comic Con 2015. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, ComicsVerse TV. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all those fun things. Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter. You can follow us on all those platforms. And remember to check out our in-depth comics analysis on www.comicsverse.com. Erica, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you. And thank you, viewers. I'm Kay, and you're watching ComicsVerse.